Hello and welcome back to part 12 of the Scriptable Objects tutorial in Unity. We will be working on setting up a trinket system, which is a way to modify how the game functions in real time. The first thing we're going to do is go down into the enums folder and we're going to make two new enums. The first one will be, so we'll do a create C# script and it will be called Status Effects. And we'll make another one right now too. So we'll right click again, create C# script, and it will be called Trinket Types. These two work hand in hand, so it makes sense to set them both up together. So let's double click on Status Effects. Let's get rid of everything and start an update. Get rid of mono behavior. And we're going to change class to enum, Status Effects. We're going to do none. I usually do all of my enums in capital letters so it's easier to read. You can do it in lowercase or proper case or whatever you want to do it. So we have none, we have frail, we have weak, vulnerable, and might. And also we're going to need count. Because by default enums do not have a way to loop through themselves. So giving count at the end, you could do if I equals 0, i's less than or equal to statuseffects.count, and it'll be able to go through all of these so we can check everything. We'll put little comments for these. So frail we'll do 25% less block gained by cards. Weak is 25% less damage dealt by cards. Vulnerable is 50% more damage received. And might modifies card damage. So if you have 3 might, your cards do 3 more damage. So let's save that. And we're going to hit Control and comma to open up the search for scripts feature. And we're going to type in trinket types and hit enter. And do the same thing here. Change this to enum. Get rid of mono behavior and get rid of start and update. They don't exist inside an enum. This is we can put in here every single trinket. So add every trinket that you end up making. So we have none. We have any trinkets we're going to be using. We're going to introduce one trinket during this tutorial. It's called pants down and count. Now what pants down is going to do is at the start of combat, the enemy will receive the vulnerable status effect. So they'll take 50% more damage in the beginning when you have that trinket. Now status effects always wear off over time, so this might only be vulnerable for 2 turns. Or you might receive, the enemy might become weak for 3 turns and they do 25% less damage. Now that we have status effects ready, we can go back to Unity. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create the scriptable object that allows us to create different kinds of effects and different kinds of trinkets. So let's go into Scriptable Objects, right click, new C# script. We're going to do effect data. Let it compile, hit the enter button to open it. Reload all if that comes up. We're going to change this to Scriptable Object. Get rid of start and update. Scriptable objects do not have start or update. They have on enabled, on disabled, and a bunch of other, and you can run pretty much any other method through it as well. So we're going to do right above the class, we're going to hit the square brackets and do create asset menu. Do a parenthesis, and then we're going to type file name equals, we'll call this effect underscore. Menu name is going to be new effect. What's inside a scriptable object? Well, we have a public status effects effect type. We have the string of effect name. We have the float of effect strength. We have a public sprite of effect sprite. And we have the public string of the description of the effect. So that's the scriptable object for there. We need to make one more scriptable object as well. Let's go back to Unity. Do another create C# script called Trinket Data. This is for any trinket you make. You can make it right through the scriptable object system. And we'll do the same thing. Scriptable object again here. Do a square bracket, create asset menu with a parenthesis, and say file name equals trinket, comma, menu name equals new trinket. Get rid of start and update. Let's do a public string trinket name. A sprite for this trinket as well, so trinket sprite. We'll do a public string trinket description, but you'll by default in the inspector you will only see one line for that description. We will get back to that in a second. So we need to create a mini part of this data class for each trinket that says what status effects it can do if it has status effects. So what we need to do is we need to create a public struct called Trinket Objects, and the struct is basically a partial class. And inside the Trinket Objects struct, we're going to do a public status effects effect and public float amount. We need to be able to read this, so we're going to go right above it. We're going to hit system.serializable inside square brackets, and then press enter above that again and do a public trinket effects array, all trinket effects. And this is per trinket. So you can have a trinket do multiple different effects. Let's go back to Unity. Let's create a new folder inside Scriptable Objects. So create folder, call it effects. Inside the effects folder, we need to right click, create new effect. It's going to be called effect underscore frail. It's going to be a type of frail. The name is obviously frail. The effect strength is 0.75. The sprites we already have cut up. So you hit the little circle guy to have all of your sprites that exist come on. And you're going to do the broken shield. Status effects frail. And the description is gain 25% less lock from cards. We're going to create another effect. We're going to call this one might. Change this one to might. The effect name, obviously might. Strength is always going to be 1, so might will always equal 1. Or you'll always get 1 might when you receive something. You could get 3 might, but it would be 1 might 3 times. The sprite for it is going to be this sword with the up arrow. This is increases attack card damage by 1. Let's do 2 more. Create another effect called effect vulnerable. We'll make this vulnerable, and obviously it's proper case vulnerable. Effect strength's 1.5 because you do 50% more damage when this is on there. We're going to pick the heart, the broken heart for vulnerable, and this take 50% more damage. Then we have one more effect. A new effect. Call this weak. It's the effect type weak. The name is weak. Strength of this is 0.75. We're going to use the broken sword for this one. Do 25% less damage. with attack cards. Now we need to make another folder inside Scriptable Objects. Create folder trinkets. Any trinkets you make will go here. I'm going to right click and click new trinket. It's going to be called pants down, because you know the whole catch them with this pants down. That's why they're vulnerable when they start, right? So we're going to have an issue with any longer trinket descriptions. So we're going to need to go back into trinket data, and right above trinket description, we press enter, do a square bracket, do text area, and we're just going to put 5, 10 for min lines and max lines. So that means that this box will be at the least 5 lines long and at the most 10 lines long. Hit save, go back to Unity, and you'll see this update. Give it a second. Then you have a big box to write whatever you want. So this trinket is called pants down. It has a sprite of this one right here. The trinket, this is currently called trinkets.png because we don't have any more trinkets. If you added more, you would just add it to the same sprite and you would cut this sprite up in multiple. Basically going back into sprites here, trinkets, going to sprite editor and cutting these up. Similar to how status effects works, right, where we have separate ones. Back to the trinkets, to trinkets pants down. The description is enemies start combat with 1 vulnerable. Unity allows for rich text, so we're going to actually add a color change for the vulnerable word. So we'll do a caret color equals, and then a hex code, so hashtag 777700 or pound sign. And then on the other side of vulnerable, /color. So caret/color caret. And this will change the color. This will get rid of all the blue in the text color. Right? Because it's 2 red, 2 green, 2 blue. So if we turn blues to 0, you're getting red and green together. There'll be a size of 1 for the effects. So we create a 1 here. It creates a new element. Asks you, hey, what effect is it? It's going to be 1 vulnerable. So now it creates 1 vulnerable turn for the enemy, so you can get early damage done. So this is the end of the Scriptable Objects tutorial for now. We will be working on the Effects Manager and Trinkets Manager next time. Basically trying to get the trinkets and effects incorporated into combat, and we'll make cards that actually do different effects as well. If you liked this video, definitely hit the like button. If you really like the video and are excited for the next video to drop, hit that subscribe button. We are very, very thankful for 50 subs. Thank you so much for the support, and we are going to see you next time. Bye-bye.